Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into the art of bargaining hard. Now, I know it's a skill that can feel kind of intimidating, right? But it's absolutely essential for getting what you really want. And we're going to pull our insights straight from the playbook of a former FBI lead hostage negotiator, Chris Voss. Trust me, his secrets might just surprise you. And it all starts with a simple obsession.
So when you hear that, you're probably thinking about some high-stakes international incident. But no, this quote from Voss isn't about that at all. It was about something way more relatable and, for him, just as critical: buying a truck.
In this whole story, it's the perfect illustration of how a simple purchase can become a masterclass in negotiation. See, Voss had totally fallen in love with a salsa red pearl Toyota 4Runner. The problem? There was only one available in the entire Washington, D.C. area. So, he had to make this one count.
So the salesman, Stan, throws out the sticker price, $36,000. But Voss, he doesn't haggle like most of us would. Instead, he immediately sets a really powerful anchor. He offers $30,000 all cash today. Now, think about that. He's not just making a low offer, he's presenting a complete, immediate solution. He's basically taking all the risk and all the uncertainty off the table for Stan, and in that one move, he completely changes the power dynamic.
Okay, this is where the real genius is. Voss never, ever says the word no. Instead, he uses these things called calibrated questions. Like, how am I supposed to do that? It's a brilliant little phrase because it forces the salesman to stop defending his own price and start thinking about Voss's problem. Then he expresses vulnerability. He says things like, "This is really embarrassing," which makes him seem super reasonable and just disarms the salesman's aggression. And then the masterstroke, strategic silence. He just stops talking. He lets the quiet do all the heavy lifting, creating this tension that the salesman feels he has to break, usually by giving something up.
And the result? Boom. Victory. Voss drives off in his dream truck for his opening price of $30,000. Now, this story is amazing because it proves you don't have to be aggressive to bargain hard. But here's the thing. These tactics, the questions, the silence, they don't work the same way on everyone. To use them right, you first have to know who you're talking to. Right. So before you even think about throwing numbers around, you have to figure out your counterpart. Voss breaks down negotiators into 3 basic types, and understanding which one you're up against is absolutely the key to picking the right strategy. So who are you dealing with? Are they an analyst? This is the person who needs time and data. Think of an engineer who wants to see all the specs. For them, silence is great. It's a chance to think. Or are they an accommodator? This person is all about the relationship. They just want everyone to be happy. They're going to hear your silence and think you're angry. And then you've got the assertive type. For them, time is money, and they see silence as a void they need to fill with their own voice. See? Using strategic silence on an analyst works wonders, but on an accommodator, it could totally kill the deal. And here's the big trap we all fall into, the I am normal paradox. We just assume that the other person thinks like we do. But with 3 completely different types of people out there, there's literally a 66% chance your counterpart has a totally different idea of what normal is. An analyst's thoughtful pause could send an accommodator into a full-blown panic, while an assertive type might just talk right over it. So take a second. Which one are you? And maybe even more important, which type is your boss, or your partner, or your landlord? Just recognizing their normal is your single biggest advantage, because once you know their style, you can start to anticipate their moves, especially when they decide to come out swinging. Okay, so what happens when someone comes at you hard? A lot of experienced negotiators, they'll open with a just ridiculous offer, an extreme anchor. And it's designed specifically to knock you off balance and make you question your own goals. As Mike Tyson famously said, a plan is great until you get hit. Well, an extreme anchor, that's the punch in the mouth. It can make you totally panic and rush right to your maximum offer, which means you're basically just bidding against yourself. So how do you stand there and take the hit? You deflect. You don't even engage with the number. Instead, you can use those same calibrated questions to gently reject the offer without being aggressive. You can pivot away from money entirely, maybe ask about other terms, to show that you're trying to find a creative solution. The goal here is just to ignore their anchor and reframe the conversation. By refusing to get emotional, you're sending a clear message. The person isn't the problem. The unrealistic offer is. Okay, so you know your opponent's type, and you know how to take a punch. Now, it's time to go on the offensive.
And we're going to do that with a powerful, systematic method Voss actually learned from a former CIA operative. It's called the Ackerman bargaining plan. This system is just pure psychological genius. And here's why. You start by anchoring them low, at 65% of your real target. Then you plan 3 raises, but, and here's the magic, they get smaller and smaller each time. This sends a signal that you're running out of room to move. And finally, you make your last offer a very specific, non-round number. This makes it feel like you've done some complex math to get to your absolute limit, like there's no more money left on the table.
Just look at this structure for a second. Your first jump is pretty big, the next one is smaller, the last one is tiny. This pattern sends this powerful subconscious message. It makes the other person feel like they are squeezing every single last penny out of you. They walk away feeling like they've won this hard-fought battle, even though you guided them exactly to your original target price. It's brilliant. Let's make this super real. One of Voss's students, a guy named Mishri, used this exact model when his landlord tried to raise his rent from $1,850 to $2,000 a month. Mishri's goal wasn't just to keep it the same, he actually wanted to get it lowered to $1,830. So after laying out his case, Mishri drops an extreme anchor, just like the model says to. He asks if $1,730 would sound fair. Now, this is about 65% of the landlord's new offer, and it completely resets the entire negotiation. It forces the rental agent to just abandon the idea of a rent hike and start thinking about how to avoid a rent cut. So after a few rounds of those calibrated questions and smaller offers, Mishri delivers his final number, $1,829. Now, why not just say $1,830? Because a really precise number like this just feels like it's the result of some careful calculation. It signals that you're at your absolute rock bottom limit. And guess what? It worked. The agent accepted, and Mishri got his rent lowered. So we've got the tactics, we know the types, we have the step-by-step plan. But Voss finishes with one final, crucial piece of wisdom that really underpins everything else. He calls it the Black Swan Rule. You know, we're all taught the golden rule our whole lives. Treat others as you want to be treated. But in negotiation, it's wrong. Real success comes from flipping that rule completely on its head. It's about understanding and adapting to your counterpart's worldview. So the next time you go into a negotiation, ask yourself, what does this person need to feel understood and respected? Answering that question, that is the most powerful move you can possibly make.